again. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. We are glad that you guys have been able to join us again uh, this evening, this Sunday evening. So, we got a special guest for y'all tonight. So, Artie, uh, we've talked about what do you do as an insurance adjuster, how to get started as an insurance adjuster. We talked about some of the tools that you use as an insurance adjuster. We talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of insurance adjusting. But today we wanted to actually take a the all lines adjuster's license is one of the most powerful licenses that you can get in the industry, hands down. What it allows you to do is essentially handle any type of claim, whether it's vehicles, cars, crops, boats, you name it. You can handle it as an all lines adjuster if you have the training and or certification. So today we brought Drew on. So Drew does business interruption insurance. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it or have heard of it, but it's I believe it's only on the commercial side. And Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is a
That is
commercial
correct.
thing. So, but we just want to bring people on to talk about some of the different areas of insurance that you can dive into, that you can learn more about, that you could really take over. Find a niche, and what they say, the riches is in the niches, right? So,
Oh, I agree. I
right?
agree with that.
Yeah, and business insurance is definitely one of those niches. So, can I record this, Drew? Is that okay? Or
Sure, sure.
okay, awesome.
I don't have a problem with that.
Sweet. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Andrew Sall. I'm basically a finance geek. What I do is I help business owners file their business interruption claim. And I mean, to kind of make it clear, I like to explain business interruption is kind of like Aflac for your business. When your business is sick and it can't work, this is the insurance that helps replace customers that aren't coming to your restaurant or customers that can't buy your product because your restaurant or your factory has been shut down or damaged because of a fire, a flood, a hurricane, you name it. So the way that it works is business interruption is part of the property policy. It's a commercial insurance, and it is triggered by something in your property policy. So if you have coverage for flood or fire or hurricane or, you know, some sort of satellite falling on your location and causing a problem, and that's all covered, and your business can't operate and you have business interruption, that's what it does. So it helps replace the business income that you lose because you're damaged or closed.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Does anybody have a question?
Yeah, kind of makes sense to me. So does it only cover the income, or does it? Or I mean, that's everything, right? That's your income, your employee salary, or
Well, it depends on what you have. Generally, it's the income, but you can have ordinary payroll coverage, which would cover your employees as well for a certain period of time. Not all businesses have that, but that's what the coverage does. Now, how I mean, the important thing, I see you're showing my website. I don't know if everybody is on the web or if they're taking this by telephone, but a big piece of business interruption is understanding how the business operates. And that is critical. If you don't understand how a business makes its money, there is no way that you're going to be able to do a business interruption claim. And one example I like to give is I'm going to ask a question. And I want to hear if somebody can answer. You can't because Cecil, we
right,
talked
right,
about this.
right.
But how does an airport make its money? Anybody on the call?
Yeah,
How
anybody.
does an airport make its money?
Yeah, if you don't want to unmute yourself, you can drop it in the chat. The question is, how does an airport make money? Dun, dun, dun,
Selling $7 water bottles.
right,
That's what
right,
we would call other income.
Yes, sir.
right.
How do they make their big money?
I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look for that sound clip. I mean, that Jeopardy
All
sound.
right, all right, all right.
I would
I'll tell
say
you guys. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I was just going to say I thought it would probably be leasing out its terminals for each air service carrier.
Okay.
That's some good supplemental income. But what I want you to think about
So
is
Tamar, in the chat, we got the insurance off the planes.
no, where the airport makes its money. The airport is a gigantic, it's a Valero with a gigantic parking lot. And instead of you going into the convenience store, they bring the food to you. So it's essentially a gas station. That's how they make their money. And the reason I'm using this as an example, it was what was it? Superstorm Sandy in 2010. I was hired to do the airport claim for Teterboro Airport. And on the other side of the claim was a guy that did his model on the basis of a takeoff and a landing. Okay. So somehow he thought this loss had something to do with plane takeoffs and plane landings. And it didn't. What it had to do with was fuel sales. Now, you can have a Donald Trump jet take off, or you can have a helicopter or a small Piper Cub take off. The difference between the two is the Trump plane or gigantic jet buys a whole lot more fuel than a Piper Cub or a helicopter. So in modeling this, in calculating the lost value, you have to understand that, you know, a big plane takes off, a big plane lands, little plane takes off, little plane lands. It's all about the gallons of fuel sold. So when you start doing a business interruption claim and trying to figure out what a business lost, you have to understand how they make their money. And so on the website there, if you can see it on the screen, it's much more than a financial exercise. It's understanding how the business operates. It's making people aware of your business and how it operates. And that's what is the big battle. I mean, that's what the adjusters have to understand. How does it work? How do they make money? So that's kind of the first piece of it. You can't just go in and look at some financial statements and do a few calculations. You really got to dig a little bit deeper than that. When you go out on a loss and it's a business loss, you have to talk to the business owner and find out how do they make their money. I mean, Cecil, you're in the funeral business. How do they make money? How does that business operate?
Yeah, services and fees, pretty for the most part. I mean, markup on products. So.
It's products, it's you know, the service itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you got to understand how the business operates. So, okay, let's say that you know how the business operates.
Okay.
A business income claim is an AFLAC claim. It's when your business is hurt and can't work, that's what you get paid. So if you make an AFLAC claim, how do they pay you? Cecil, how are they going to pay you?
I believe it's usually like X percentage of how much income you would normally bring. No.
So basically, you're talking about your salary, right?
Right.
So what we call that in the business income world is you're going to forecast out what you think you should make in the future. Okay. So in order to forecast that out, if you're on a salary and you're out 2 weeks and your paycheck was $100 and you couldn't work, the 2 weeks you're not working, how much are you out?
A lot.
It's $100, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah, I was thinking, all right, go ahead.
because that's your salary. That's the forecast. That's what you are estimating that if you weren't hurt and you weren't laid up, you would get that $100 in 2 weeks. So that's the forecast. How did you forecast that? Well, you know what your salary is. You know you get paid every 2 weeks. So that's what you're expecting, right? So with a business, if you're an airport, you have a pretty good idea of how much fuel you sell every single week. If you're a restaurant, if you're a Chick-fil-A, you have a pretty good idea of how much money you're going to make every day with that drive-through, with that in restaurant dining. People know how much. These business owners have a very good idea of how much they should make every month, every week. They know that. They've run the business. They know what it is. So what we call, that's your forecast. If your business has been shut down and you're out of commission for 6 months, you don't know exactly because it hasn't happened, but you've got a pretty good idea. When you look back at the previous 6 months, year, couple of years, you know how much money you should make. So what we call is, that's your forecast, right? So what you do is you have the estimate, you have the forecast of how much money you should make, okay? Then when you're damaged, let's say Chick-fil-A, let's say one of your drive-through lines is down, or half your cooking capacity has been affected due to some fire or something that happens. You're not completely closed. So as you look out the next couple of months while you're waiting for that stove repair, that fryer repair, whatever they have to do, fixing the drive-through canopy, you know that you're still making money and you're still recording that. So you have your financials that show you're still operating. So you ask, what is the business interruption loss? The business interruption loss is what you thought you were going to make at full capacity, what your forecast is, and then you subtract out what you actually made. And let's say you made less. So the difference between what you thought you should make, subtracting out what you actually did make, is your business interruption loss. And that's how you calculate it. So let's say you're a Chick-fil-A, and let's use simple numbers. Let's say you do $100 a month. You're damaged, you're only at half capacity. No matter what you do, you're only going to make half as much. Right. So you should make $100 this month. You can only make 50. Right. You have business interruption coverage. Your loss is the $100 that you thought and that you forecast you should make, less the $50 you actually make. Right. So your loss is $50. Right. In a nutshell, in its most simple terms, that's what it is.
Gotcha. Yeah, so if I'm gonna
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I did a Burger King, so that was my first commercial experience. And somebody actually drove the car through the drive-through. So
imagine that.
Right. So I see now business interruption kicking in, but it wasn't really that bad. So, but the bathrooms were out of commission. There was a couple things that were damaged, but I can see that kicking in that place, in that scenario, though.
Well, the other thing I would tell the adjusters on the call is you may go out and you may look at a loss and you may think there isn't a lot of physical damage here. The business interruption can't be that big. Okay. Don't ever think that because you have no idea. For example, if you have a very specialized piece of equipment, I mean, I did a big refinery loss and you have very specialized cracker, very specialized piece of equipment. This thing was damaged. And not only was it damaged, but they cracked the foundation, the cement slab that this thing sat on. So in order to repair it, they had to import a part from God knows where, okay? It's not like these things are sitting on the shelf somewhere, right? They actually had to make the part overseas. Then they had to bring it to Canada. And in order to fix the cracker, they had to unbolt it from the cement slab, from the pad, pick it up. Then they had to replace and re-pour the entire slab. They had to take this piece and put it in the machine and get it working. And then they had to mount it back on this big cement slab. Okay. If you just walked up and you looked at that, you'd be like, it doesn't look like anything. You know, is there really a loss here? I mean, this thing went on for almost a year. So, I mean, you really have no idea how big the loss is or what's all involved. And I think a lot of times business interruption is completely overlooked. People don't, they don't see a lot of physical damage and they don't think that there's a huge loss, but there can be. I mean, like power surges or things like that. You can't see any damage, but it fried a very intricate, very sensitive piece of equipment that they have to, get repaired or get parts or get it replaced over in Switzerland. And they don't have one completely finished. It's going to take 6 months. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. So it can be very deceiving. It can be very, you just can't make assumptions. You really can't. You don't know.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Are there any questions so far?
Yeah. Anybody? Any questions? So I know I learned some stuff. So I appreciate you, Drew. So actually, if you look on the website there, Drew actually has a business interruption checklist. If you guys want to grab that, and see what their process looks like, get some information about business interruption insurance. So my thoughts were, okay, so with the all lines adjuster, so if you're good with cars, maybe you want to go the auto adjuster route. If you're good, if you have some medical insurance knowledge, maybe you want to go the bodily injury route. But if you have small business, if you're an entrepreneur, business interruption, with Drew, man, hey, I think it's an opportunity. I think,
Hey, Cecil, can I tell everybody where to find me?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, so I found Cecil actually through, what was it, Facebook? But I'm not a big Facebooker. I do a little bit on there. I'm in some of the adjusting groups, but the easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. My name is Andrew, last name is Sall, S-A-L-L. It's like ball with an S, okay? I'm on LinkedIn, reach out, send me a connection request. I'm more than happy to connect. The other thing I'll tell you is I'm business interruption guy. So my website is businessinterruptionguy.com. My email is businessinterruptionguy@gmail.com. So either one of those, you can get to me. Cecil mentioned he's got up there my business interruption checklist. I'm in the process right now of creating a business interruption model. And this is going to be a model that is going to allow businesses to calculate some sort of business interruption amount. It's not going to be perfect because it's kind of a generic model, but at least it will take someone from zero to something, okay? And when I get that finished, I'm going to put it up on my website as well. And the reason that's important, you adjusters, is when you start adjusting and you go out and you sit down with a business owner, they're going to tell you, I got business interruption coverage. Oh, I know, I'll come back to this, but they'll say, I have business interruption coverage. I have a business interruption loss. And you as the adjuster are going to say, okay, put a claim together. And what's going to happen is the business owner is going to get this big blank look because they're going to say, how do I do that? And so this model I'm putting out there is going to be kind of a template. It's going to be something that the business owner can put in their financials, they can follow the instructions, and they can at least get some sort of number. Not going to be perfect. I mean, you know, for that, I can consult with them and walk them through and help them a little bit more, but at least they'll have something. So adjusters, what I also want you to understand is in some of these commercial policies, there are what we call professional fees coverage or claims preparation coverage. And what this means is when this business owner or franchise owner is totally panicked, they're in tears, they don't know what they're going to do because they sunk their life savings into the donut shop or into, you know, the Valero gas station or whatever they bought, they are going to have to prepare a business interruption claim. They don't know how to do it. Sometimes in their policies, there's coverage so they can go hire somebody like me or somebody else like me that's going to sit down with them, walk them through the process, and prepare the claim. And if they have that coverage, the amount of my fees is like an extra expense. It's like a line item added to the claim. It doesn't come out of the amount of their business interruption. It's not like a general adjuster's fee where they charge 10% or 20%. I mean, what I'm talking about is coverage that pays my fee for preparing their claim. And that's something that, on the one hand, you guys may look at that and think, well, if I don't say anything, it'll make the claim smaller. They won't know about it, and you move on. That's the wrong avenue to take. The best thing you can do is to do everything you can for the insured, because what you are is you're the eyes and ears of the carrier, okay? And everything that these people are entitled to is in that policy. A lot of the people don't read the policy. You will, you'll have to. You have to know what's in it. And you know what? You are going to gain so much more goodwill for the carriers you represent by making sure that the insureds are well taken care of, that they are getting the, that the policy is performing the way it's written. If you try to sweep things under the carpet, you see something, you don't say it, you try to move on, you try to make the claim small, that will come back and bite you. And believe me, when it bites, it's not just like a little nibble, it's like taking both cheeks off, because they hire a lawyer and then they make a bad faith claim, and then the damages get very, very big, very, very quickly. And it's like, it can all be avoided if you just look at it and you say, this is a claim, I'm going to help you use your policy to the best I can, to the maximum, get you the most help you can get, and get you the best settlement, because that way You don't have to worry about something on the back end coming to bite you. And then you actually have, a policyholder that's getting what they paid for. And that's why they bought the insurance.
Yeah.
So,
And I agree
okay,
with
Cecil,
you.
I'm off my soapbox, man.
Right. No, I agree with you. That's what I also say, that my job is to actually find you coverage. So I'm going to try to find you the coverage that's, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. But I appreciate you, Drew. Thank you very much for taking time out to, tell us a little bit about business interruption insurance on the commercial sector. So I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
And like I said, you guys reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you got a question, go to businessinterruptionguide.com. Send me a note and my contact us. Yeah, I'm more than willing to help. This is what I do. So I want to make sure people are well taken care of.
Appreciate
All right, Cecil, thanks for having me on, man.
no problem, Drew, man. We'll talk. We'll definitely be in contact. So, brother, you have a good one.
All right, thank you. Good night, guys.
Uh,
Oh, any questions before I go?
yeah.
Any questions? Anything at all?
No. Anybody?
Well, we'll have to do another one where I tell the craziest claims I ever did.
Oh, that'll be fun. Oh, we should make that the last class. Oh, that's a good one. Because I got some stories too, man. I'm telling you, it involves wild turkeys and wild pigs. Is all I'm gonna say. But,
all right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for having me on.
Take it easy, brother.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. So I definitely learned a few things. We'll keep going. Any questions, any ideas, any thoughts? Anybody got to take a bathroom break? Everybody good? Everybody good? All right, so we'll go ahead and keep going then. So Nat, I see you joined in with us there. Did you want to add anything, Tamar, anybody?
No, not at all. I think we can go ahead and move forward. Thank you.
Awesome.
No,
awesome.
I'm good. It was very well explained.
Alrighty, cool beans. Alrighty, so figure we start with Drew in case you need to hop off and do some things. But like I said, I think business interruption is one of those things that's a lane that you can go in, just like you can go in the lane of auto, property, all the good stuff. So I think it's good to know the different types of industries that are available with the license that you got. And it's a bunch of them. You know what I mean? So, alrighty, so today's workshop is actually going to be rosters and resumes, right? So once you have your license, you hear people talk about, get on rosters. But what does that look like? What is it? So this workshop is actually going to talk about a little bit of that. So part 1 and 2, we actually already went through, obviously. Shows you the tools. So we have part 3 and 4 is swapped. So we already went through the tools. We talked about how to become an adjuster. We talked about the ICTC being, sponsored by ALA of Texas. So we'll just keep it going. So if you're at this point, if you've been with us since the first Zoom call, most of us, I think, are pretty much in the same spot. If not, then we're headed toward there. So you either have completed or will have completed your 40-hour pre-licensing course. You already did your fingerprint background check. You applied for your license and you got your license from the state of Texas, right? So now you are a certified all lines adjuster for the state of Texas. What next? You know what I mean? So one of the things that, I say get on as many rosters as you can. There's over I want to say 3,000 types of rosters across the U.S. Maybe only in Texas, like 3,000 in Texas. There's a bunch of them out there. So try to get on as many as you can. But Alex actually said something intriguing that I thought was interesting. So where I would say get on all of them, Alex actually said, go with quality over quantity. So investigate the carriers that are in your area and just apply to those, those firms that are doing claims for that carrier in your area. So you're not, wasting your time on, I ain't gonna say waste your time. You're not spending more time on all of them. You're just specifically looking for the ones that are servicing your carrier, the one that you want to work for. But what is a roster? All right, so all a roster is a list. It's a list of independent adjusters that are ready to go to work. That's it. Yeah, I mean, so if you are an independent adjuster, if you are an all lines adjuster, then joining a roster is telling that company, hey, I got my license. I'm in Texas, or I'm in Dallas, or I'm in Houston. If you got work for me, I'm available. So again, there are over 3,000 different IA firms, more than that. I'm not sure of the exact number, but there's a lot of them that you can add your name and your resume to say, hey, I'm available. I'm looking for work. Some of the examples of different rosters, of course, ALA of Texas, our sponsor of ICTC. Then you have EA Renfro, you have Pilot, Acorn, and Ebrel. So Pilot, Ebrel, and Renfro are like the top three. They're like the largest of the firms that are available to hop on. Pilot, Renfro, and Ebrel are also really pretty good about hiring new adjusters as well. Same thing with ALA of Texas. So if there are claims available, then a lot of times, that's a good place to start for a new adjuster. ALA, Renfro, Pilot, and Ebrel. Acorn is actually a fairly new firm, but it's still a firm available out there that you can join their roster. So just a quick teeing up, just a quick teeing slot for you. So ALA of Texas, you got Pace Setter Claims, Field Pro Direct, Bright Claims. So if you want to take a screen, if you're looking on it on your phone, take a screenshot of it. Also, if you've actually signed up on the ALA website, I believe you would have automatically gotten the 300 list. So 300 in Texas, a little over 300 in Texas. So you would have received that list of all the IA firms that are available there. So yeah, if you got that screenshot. But all the roster is just a list. Yeah, any questions about rosters? Anybody want to add anything about rosters? No? All right, let's keep it going then. All right, so your resume. All right, so when you're applying for these rosters, you're going to go to their website. Let's say renfro.com. You go to renfro.com. You say, hey, I'm available. Here's my information, phone number, email, address, and you create a profile. When you create that profile, they're going to want you to upload a resume, much like any other job site. If you're going to, I don't know, McDonald's, you upload a resume, right? So it's the exact same process, right? The only difference is when you go put in an application at McDonald's, you working at McDonald's. Whereas if you go put in your application at Renfro, you may end up at State Farm or USAA or, so they may pimp you out to a bunch of different other carriers. So, but yeah. So your resume should reflect the job that you're actually applying for. If you are applying for a property adjuster, then your resume should show your property adjuster experience. The reason that is because, all right, so a lot of times those HR software, like they automatically filter out resumes based on certain keywords. So it'll scan your resume, and if it doesn't find X amount of keywords related to this job, then they're not even going to look at your resume, and it'll be set aside somewhere. So when you're applying for the job, then you should have those keywords. For example, you're applying for a property adjuster gig. Your resume should say experienced property adjuster looking to take my property adjusting experience and put it on some property adjustment. You know what I mean? So you just want those keywords and buzzwords around property adjusting, right? You want to keep it simple. It doesn't have to be, a bunch of legal jargon, I guess. So easy to read. Try to keep it down to one page if you can. Again, they're looking at thousands of resumes a day. If you go in there with a 10-page resume, it ain't gonna work too good. So nobody's gonna read a 10-page resume. I'm telling you that now. So if you can condense it, put it on one page, you help yourself and who's ever looking at those resumes. Also, man, don't be. No, I'm gonna just keep what it's humble brag. Humble brag about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, talk about your accomplishments. Talk about those certifications that you have. Talk about those classes that you took related to insurance adjusting or, property adjusting. I'm State Farm certified. I'm level 2 Actimate. I'm licensed in X. You know what I mean? So, all facts though. but put it out there. You know what I mean? Let them know that, you know, you bring value and you got some knowledge that you can share. You know, the lack of experience, if you have, I mean, if you level 3 Xactimate certified, you know, you've went through the training, they can see that you've been trained and that you're, you know what I mean? So they may look over that experience in that case, so if you don't have any. Alrighty. So you got your resume, you got your license. What else you got? You know what I mean? Do you have any additional state license? Are you only licensed in Texas? So Texas is huge. Don't get me wrong. So if you're only licensed in Texas, that's a good place to start. One, because it's so big and there's claims almost everywhere. You know, it's a big state. But then also it's reciprocal to other states. So if you start with your Texas license, you can pretty much go to any of the 30 states that are available reciprocally. Did I say that right? Reciprocally, you know what I mean? So, but you can take your Texas license. If you want to go work in Georgia, then you pay the Georgia state fee, and you can work in Georgia. You want to go work in Oklahoma, you pay the Oklahoma state fee, and you can work in Oklahoma. You don't have to take the test again. You don't have to do the relicensing. None of that. You just pay whatever that state fee is, and you can work in that state. So, how many state licenses do you have? So, if you sign up for ALA of Texas, are we only going to be able to send you to Texas claims, or can we send you to Texas and Georgia and Mississippi? And you know what I mean? Because the more states you are in, the more claims you can work. You know what I mean? So let's say Texas dries up, but there's tornadoes in Oklahoma. Okay, well, you got your Oklahoma license. Go to Oklahoma for a few days, or go to Arizona for a few weeks, or however you want to do it. So, again, if you can get your New York adjuster's license, it's touted as the golden ticket in the industry. Because it's so hard to get, a lot of adjusters don't try it or don't get it. So there's a lot of work that I hear is in New York, but again, it is pretty expensive to get. Again, more certifications, more licenses you have, the more opportunity. Get that State Farm certification, get that all state certification, get all the certifications you can get. I mean, if somebody giving you something free, go on, take it.
Yeah, right. If I may add something, Cecil,
Please.
through the rosters, when you get on some of these rosters, for example, like Sedgwick or, you know, a couple of them, and they have you on there, they offer free training. So some of the additional training that Cecil's mentioning in reference to, you know, all state or state farm certifications, some of them do offer them, some for a fee, some are free. So, you know, look at that when you get on the rosters also for free or additional training.
Yeah, definitely. So this is just my screenshot. I actually have 16 licenses right now as of 10/21. Now, not all of them are adjuster license. Excuse me. You can see the emergency license when I first. Actually, what was the? I don't know why they gave me the emergency license in Texas. I mean, but anywho, but I got 16 licenses as of this week. So I plan on getting some more. So the more licenses you have, the more certifications you have, like Nat mentioned, you know, the more valuable you are, the more you can charge for real. Again, those certifications we were talking about. Are you State Farm certified? Are you All-State, USAA certified? What NICTA classes have you completed? So NICTA is the insurance. Don't give me the line, but you can take different classes with NICTA, like how to spot fraud during catastrophe, or you know how to, you know, things like that. So again, the more certifications you have, the more valuable you are. Another good one. So Xactimate, like a lot of carriers use Xactimate or Symbility. You know what I mean, but I think Xactimate is the market leader right now. If you become a Xactimate expert, then you got the opportunity to move around in quite a few other different places. You can do the same thing with insurance adjusting, but that Xactimate, if you become a Xactimate expert, you can work for all kind of people. You know what I mean? Same thing, the restoration companies, the public adjusters, you know, just by doing estimates. You know what I mean? If you become a Xactimate expert or a Symbility expert, you can just do estimates. Like, you don't have to have a license for that just to do the estimate part. So maybe you want to spend that money and become an expert and make some funds that way. Right? And like I said, work for contractors, roofers. You know what I mean? So, again, another certification that you can get. So a couple examples of some resumes here. So on the left, we got Alex's resume, and that's my resume on the right. So essentially, we use the same template. We just updated the different information, and that's it. So yeah, if y'all want to take a screenshot of that and mirror your resume behind that, if not, then text me. I'll send you the template. So you notice how we talk about, we're licensed adjusters, analyzing claims, adjusting insurance adjusting field, right? Then we go into what types of claims that we handle: hail and wind, personal and property. We have the insurance policy knowledge. And then here, I list my certification. Let me go back. My bad. So I list all my licenses, all my NICTA trainings, my state farms, all the carriers I've worked for, and I kept it all within one page, right? So try to include as many adjuster keywords as possible. So Alex was just starting, so his isn't as... but it's coming though. I mean, for doggone sure. but yeah, just, different ends of the spectrum. So. Alrighty, so you got your resume, you got the rosters, you applying to all these rosters. One thing I will add, if you apply for a roster, you go in, you sign up, you submit your resume, you create your profile, send them an email. Hey, I just signed up, created my profile. Just want to let you know that, it's completed. Let me know if I need to submit anything. Call them. Hey, I just let you know I completed my profile, uploaded all my documents. Just wanted to put a voice to a name, say hi, let you know I was available. And follow up with them maybe once every week, once every 2 weeks, however you want to do it though. But you want to be in their ear. You want to be top of mind for them. Also, like Natalie said, take advantage of some of the trainings that they're providing. If you sign up for a roster and you see that they have free State Farm training, complete it. Get that certificate, save it, print it out, and add it to your resume. Now you're State Farm certified, right? If they offer free NICTA training, take it. So complete it, print off your certificate, add it to your resume. And before you know it, your resume is looking pretty doggone good. You're certified this, you're expert this, and you look more valuable once you're submitting those next resumes to those next firms and those next folks. So what are some other places that you can go and look for insurance adjuster jobs once you have your insurance adjuster's license? WeGoLook.com is one that actually I just found out about a couple weeks ago, actually. So if you go to WeGoLook.com, it's essentially where they assigned you a claim for you to go out there and look at it. Like we go look at it. So, well, you go look at it, but y'all get what I'm saying. So WeGoLook.com is one. CatAdjusters.org is another good resource. So I believe it's the careers or the workplace tab or something like that. Just go to catadjusters.org. You can see some opportunities there. IHireInsurance.com. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where people find jobs, right? You can go to LinkedIn and search insurance adjuster jobs or independent adjuster. Same thing with Career Builder, Indeed. They're there. The same way that you were looking and searching for your corporate job. Same thing with your insurance adjuster job. Now, being that you're independent, it's up to you. You want to be staff, you want to be independent. Which way you want to go with your license is completely up to you. So, Google is my best friend. Shout out to Google. I miss you, Google. No, but shout out Google is his best friend. Just Google insurance adjuster job or damage appraisals, or if you're Xactimate expert, Xactimate jobs. You got to get creative. So as more and more people enter the industry, there's going to be more competition, but a lot of folks leaving as well, so there's less competition there. So a lot of folks are retiring, which is why there's a big push for adjusters, which is why we're seeing this increase. So cool. And the excessive storm season we've been having. So, all righty. So, any questions?
I'm gonna look in the chat. If you don't want to ask the question, you could put it in the chat and I can ask it for you. I just want to add a couple of things while we wait for folks to kind of, gather their thoughts. A couple of, again, Cecil mentioned in the beginning, quality over quantity. And when you're doing your resume, if you're someone like me and you have 11-page resume, I'm just kidding. But, you want to, highlight your education, right? So, and it's important that you have that on there because some positions they ask that. It's not necessarily required, but it kind of gives you a foot more based on that, in terms of experience, they add that to some of the rosters. But when you go to the roster, it does allow you to add your certifications in there. When, for example, Sedgwick, once you complete the roster, they have, a couple of other processes where they'll send you, we have to do a background check and then someone to reach out to you. And they'll ask you specifically as a 1099 and independent adjusters, what are your expectations, right? Do you have a certain height of roof that you're willing to climb? Are you willing to do 2-story houses? So they'll ask you those specifics. And again, it's your choice because you're an independent adjuster. So you're basically telling them what kind of jobs you would prefer that they send you. So it's kind of your playing field with some of the rosters. Another one, Home Depot, a lot of people don't necessarily think about that, but they have the warranties. So when Home Depot sells specific items and someone makes a claim on it, they may send you out there to verify that it, whether or not it's a warranty defect with their equipment or if it was a defect with the builder. Perhaps they didn't, install it as per the instructions. So you would go out as an independent adjuster and determine whether or not, they actually have a claim based on the warranty defect or if it's something of fault of their own. So, you have a lot of choices, but the best thing, as Cecil mentioned, and going back to what Alexander said, quality over quantity. Do your due diligence and research it, and you make the call based on what you're willing to do, whether that's go in the field or you prefer to stay home as a desk adjuster. So, okay. Someone asked, do we have to lie to in reference to our experience and resumes in order to be called? Absolutely. That's a great question. I would say no.
Right.
Right. So, if you're training, if you're just learning, the great thing about ALA, like you can get some training from someone possibly, right? So, if they ask you, if you say, well, I've done some training, they may say, well, how much training? And that's up to you, what you say. But to answer your question, I would say no, right? Cesar, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I did. So I would agree and say no as well. But I would also say, what are some of the transferable skills that you may have that you don't know, right? So, for example, a lot of the insurance property adjusting, a lot of it has to do with construction knowledge. So, yeah, you may not have, 2 years of reading insurance policies, but you got 2 years of construction knowledge, which could also help you as well because you're essentially it's construction when you're doing property. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. See, so because also, if you have experience in say real estate, right? You have construction knowledge based on that, right? Most times you understand the properties within a home. Or if you have, say you've worked at Home Depot or Lowe's, right? You're working around materials. So that goes into knowledge. So oftentimes I think when we're looking at our resume, we really don't tap into the information that we have experienced. We automatically think, well, I didn't necessarily work in construction or I never got on a roof, but look at, like Cecil mentioned, those transferable skills that you may have, you know, and kind of go with that. Great question.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, if you just so happen to be working in a state that, you know, doesn't require a licensing for insurance adjusting, then, you know, yeah, I don't know. No, don't lie about it though. I just look
It's
for transferable skills is what I'm
right. It's a great opportunity to go do some help with Habitat for Humanity and
saying.
learn how to
Right,
build a home, right?
right.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll give a couple more minutes. If you so just go back to the page that shows the different modules. So again, we started with module 1. I did see some new numbers on there. And we're going to have 7 sections. So if you look at it right now, we're doing rosters and resumes. Next Sunday, we're going to go into customer contact to appointments. And so you'll hear more from Tamar. We're going to go into how.
We're gonna
Yeah, how.
skip next week. So for the
Oh,
31st, yeah, we would not be doing a Zoom call on the 31st. For the folks that celebrate it can go and do some trick or treating if that's what they're doing. So it'll
right.
be the week
Yeah.
after, which is the 4th.
Right. Yeah, my apologies. So yeah, so we're gonna catch up on the following Sunday. So these are all going to be Sundays at the same time at 7 p.m. So we go to customer contact to appointment. So Cecil, if you want to just briefly talk about that, those 3 last ones.
Yeah, so
then,
the next 3 Zoom calls, again, we're going to skip next week. So the 31st, we will not have a Zoom call, but the week after that, which is November 7th, we'll go into customer contact to appointment, which would talk about customer service. You know, what does it look like to call and set up a claim? You know, how do you set up an appointment? What do you, you know, some of the things that you have to update, and you know, we'll take you to that point. You got the claim, you processed the claim, you looked over the claim, you contacted them, and you set up the appointment. Alrighty. The week after that, you got the appointment set up. Now let's go actually inspect the property. So how do you inspect a residential property? So we'll walk you through that process. You know, what are some of the things you look for? What are you, you know, what process you go through? You know, front, right, rear, left, and slopes and drip edge and stuff like that. And then finally, we'll go into Xactimate and submitting a general loss report, which is essentially your report that you send at the end of your inspection, indicating what happened. And then we'll do a estimate, maybe a roof estimate. So won't be too big, but we'll just walk you through that process. Then we'll finish it up, and you know, there you have it. Hopefully we help at least one folk. If we help one person, doggone it, I'm all right with that. So
yeah. So I don't have any other questions. So we're going to go ahead and end. But guys, this is, you know, there are no questions that are, you know, for lack of a better word, a stupid question. You know, we are here to help. Oftentimes, when you're thinking about getting your insurance license, or you get your insurance license, you're kind of thrown out there to the wolves. And so this is kind of like a basic information modules that we're kind of sharing with you all to kind of give you some tools and kind of better equip you, you know, when you're making that leap to go into the field. And I think Tamar said it best. She mentioned that when she first got started, there really wasn't a platform like this for her. She kind of learned as she went along, had some great mentors that she found along the way. But, you know, this is something that is just super for new adjusters to kind of get you more equipped with what you're going into, to give you that little bit of comfortability. So if there's no more questions, we're going to go ahead and end. Cecil and Tamar, if you have any last words, and then we'll pick up for the following week.
No, I got nothing. Thank y'all for coming out.
No, I don't have. I was gonna say, no, I'm good. I'm good on this one.
Very well explained. Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
Hey, well, thank you guys. All right, Cecil.
All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good one.
Thank you
You too.
guys. This has been amazing.
All right, great.
Have a good night.
Good night.